What's good, everybody? Welcome into the second of our preview shows for the 2024 season, the medium class preview with Class 4A, 5A, and Division 2 AA. We're six wide with this particular preview, including the newest member of the 615 Preps crew, Tyson Moody. And Tyson, you can bring yourself off of mute. I'm going to give you a chance right now to tell everybody a little bit about yourself and what you think you bring to the table this year.
Yeah, hi. Sorry if you hear anything. Just some people just walked in. But I just graduated from Brentwood High. Go Bruins. Played football for there 4 years. As it says, I'm a long snapper. I'm going to long snap at Austin Peay State University. Go Govs. I'm majoring in graphic design. I've been the one putting together all those team builder files, so I'd love to help out with that. And however they want me to do. I'll be covering, whatever Clarksville games I can. And I'm just really excited to join the team, get some experience in the sports media world. Yeah, that's about it.
So now we've got so Chris, you're Macon County.
Yep.
Isaac's Watertown, so you're Wilson. We got Tyson with Brentwood, so now we got Williamson. Cam's from that one place. KJ Sumner County with Beach. So I mean, we're almost covered on all our cover. We just need a couple of Ruco kids and Metro kids, and we'll be set, man.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. And we haven't even talked about the photographers yet. So I mean,
that's true.
Right. We have Metro covered there.
Covered there. Yeah, that's what I said.
We have representation from most of our coverage area, so it's always nice to have a wide range of angles and views and whatnot. But we're not here to talk about all that.
Joe and I are just out there.
Yeah,
we're here, man.
Yeah,
foreigners.
Yeah,
foreigners.
Great band.
Well, we finished up the small class preview last time at the 1A, 2A, 3A, and single A. Now we in Division 2. Now we turn our attention to the medium class, 4A, 5A, and D2 AA. And this was the group last year that did the most damage as far as bringing back hardware. Procone, state title. CPA, state title. Page, literally this close to the state title. And, it could be more of the same in 2024.
Yeah, and going back to the state championship weekend, right? For us, having to watch, we kind of got to experience both sides, right? Having to watch, Paige just kind of, as you said, Chris, literally come inches away, and seeing the heartbreak on those kids, and then getting to see Metro finally break the streak, and more importantly, Pearl Cone finally getting over the hump after a couple silver balls over the last decade or so. So that's the way football goes, right? You got both sides, the happy and the sad. Paige might be the most hungry team in the state, though, and for everybody in 5A, that's very unfortunate.
It's a scary proposition. Yeah, I mean, they're going to be nasty this year. Offensively, we'll see what they do. Defensively, we know what they're going to do. That team, it's going to be fun to watch. It's going to be scary. It's going to be real scary, but it's going to be fun to watch. Then Pearl, they lost a lot. Pearl's Pearl. Pearl doesn't rebuild anymore. They just reload. So,
yeah, that's a good question, Joe. Is if there is it did last year, is it make it even harder for them to go to repeat this year, or does it make it easier? Now the pressure is off. You've won that. Is the pressure off of you, or is the pressure even more on you now to repeat because you've got such a big target on your back and you're going to get everybody's best game? So Pearl's got some questions to answer, but I think they're up for the challenge. The question just becomes, what is the rest of 4A got stored for them.
Yeah, we would be remiss if we didn't mention CPA, right? Defending Division II AA state champs. Lost a lot. They did, especially up front, and maybe the toughest, meanest, biggest, most intimidating lineman in the mid-state, and John Wayne Oliver. So, but they also return Patterson, like always, right? That's a CPA legacy right there. So it's going to be interesting to see how the Lions can try to defend their title in 2024.
And Joe, like you were saying, that scrimmage that they had against Ravenwood, they look smaller, but they look just as good. So, I mean, if they dominated the state championship the way they did last year and they still look just as good, that's going to be scary for private schools.
Yeah.
The neat thing here is we're going to see all these teams kind of early on in the season, some of them playing each other. Pearl and CPA, week 2, John Merritt Classic, champ versus champ. And that's going to be a really good litmus test for both sides to see where they are early on in the year.
Yeah, I respect both the teams for taking each other on like they have. I mean, Pearl never shies away from anything. Neither does CPA. It's probably going to be the best coaching matchup we see all year with Tony Brunetti and Ingle Martin. I mean, it's just going to be, God, that atmosphere is going to be insane. I can't wait for week 2 already.
This is kind of where the TWSAA's regions have screwed things up, because I would love to see Pearl's schedule, their non-region schedule, if they didn't have to play 7 region games or 8 region games.
I think we get East Nashville back on there. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
certainly.
I mean, we're talking about Pearl to shy away from anybody. I believe what the 2 non-region games are CPA and EPA. I mean, what else do you want them to do?
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Well, let's go ahead and start in 4A with those champion Firebirds. I mean, and you got to consider them the favorite again. But is there another team out there that can? I'm not going to say beat them, but can test them and make them. I mean,
Upperman and Macon, and potentially a Greenville team.
I'll go out on a limb and say Haywood. Haywood brings back 2 rushers that ran for over 1,800 yards last year, and then really good quarterback. Very favorable schedule, and that semifinal game will be out in West Tennessee. And the last time they played out there, it was a classic. So that's not going to be a give me. But I think Haywood, Upperman, Macon, those 3, and then Greenville, I think, will be right back in the mix as well. So.
Okay, so we mentioned Macon County there. Let's go over to Region 4 and talk about that grouping just a little bit. Upperman has won that region last few years. Macon has been within several points of taking over that region, but they haven't been able to kind of climb that hill.
Yeah,
what
I mean,
you have to do it.
You look at last year, right? 14-7 in the regular season, and 17-14 in the playoffs. And really, Upperman, that 17-14 win, Upperman got the ball with like 10 minutes to go in the game in the playoffs, and literally went for like 3-4 downs on the drive and did not give the ball back to Macon. So if you want to see smash mouth, physical football, neither one of those teams are real fancy. Neither one of them are going to get in a shotgun and throw it 50 times a game. Both teams play really good defense. Both teams are good up front. Upperman does have a little bit to replace, a little bit more than Macon to replace. But Coach Kane has proven that he's going to win. He's going to be, right there at the top of the list when it comes to coaches in 4A ball. But that matchup is going to be a thing to witness. And I would, if I was a betting man, I'd put the house on 2 more matchups of Macon and Upperman this season.
And a winner of that one would host a semifinal game too.
It's huge.
Yeah, and really, I mean, Scott and Chris, I know, Scott, you've lived in Macon for a long time, and Chris, being a graduate, is this the best Macon County team of all time?
I would say yes. It has.
I would say, I would say that all around on both sides of the ball. Yeah, they've had talent everywhere, but this is probably the most complete team. You get, I mean, this year, you get Zach probably back to 100%. So, the Borders brothers are probably going to be as healthy as they've been in a long time. So that's going to allow Gabe to run free. Zach to, you can't just key on Gabe now. They've got a tremendous offensive line. Brody Fry, Ethan West coming in. A lot of people think of Kyle Shoulders as an offensive coach. He's an offensive guru. He can, he's very creative. But you look at the defense this team has put together. Last year they only gave up 92 points throughout all their games. He is underrated as a defensive coach. Um, whether it's putting together the right staff or putting together the right scheme. Um, and these guys are hungry. I think that there's a really good shot that they get over the hump with Upperman this year. But Upperman's going to be tough. I think that really Upperman and Macon are the biggest threats, and Haywood, because Haywood's just got reams of talent that Pearl Cone's going to face.
This is certainly the best 3-year stretch of talent that Macon County's ever had, and that goes back a long way. It's a unit that has grown up together. They played a lot together through junior pro and junior high, and they're now at the point where they have to be the most gelled group of Macon County kids that's ever played. And Upperman's going to be a difficult place to go play, but now that they've seen what it's going to take to win up there, it may just take one more shot for them to get over that hump. And if they do, look out, because they've never hosted a semifinal game. They've been to the semis once in 2003, and that town will go ballistic if it ever happens. So let's turn our attention now back to the western half of that bracket. We talked about Pearl Cone ad nauseum, but the rest of that region, Station Camp, I think, is one of those teams that is interesting to talk about, and let's mention them for a bit. The Bison kind of may be able to throw their hat in the ring as far as a top 4 finish. Let's talk about them.
They got two really good defensive edge rushers coming back to Station Camp. Kelvin Crisp, he's 6'3", 230. He's got an offer from UT. Other side, you got, I don't know if I'm pronouncing this right, Okoye Ellis. I might be pronouncing that wrong, but he's also 6'3", 225, another edge, both seniors. I mean, I'm not saying that they're going to challenge Pearl Cone for that region title, but they are looking pretty good on that defense. And they also got a good quarterback. Colton Overby came in last year for the injured starter. I mean, like I said, I don't know if they're going to challenge anything, but they're definitely going to be better than they were last year. That's for sure.
Yeah, you mentioned Overby. I actually think he's only going to be a sophomore. I think he came in last year as a freshman.
Yeah,
so,
started as a freshman.
So future's really bright for the Bison with Chris being an underclassman and Overby at quarterback. So, but man, it's going to be hard to compete with Pearl. But the goal should be to finish top 2, right? Get a home playoff game, and try to set yourself up for that second matchup potentially against Pearl.
Well, Chris Bain has also, made some improvements on the coaching side. He's brought in former UT Martin quarterback, Blue Cross Bowl winner Jared Neal. They brought him back to Sumner County to revamp that passing game, and that's really what they lacked last year. They they were a hard team to stop on the ground, but they really didn't have much of an air game. If they can somehow go 50-50, give the defense a little bit of a break, sustain drives. Yeah, they got a really good shot. I think definitely they are the team to beat in that number 2 slot.
You mentioned Jared Neal. That they added 4 assistant head coaches. That's impressive turnover there. But they also add Bobby Beasley from East Robertson last year. That's just more. That's just more state championship experience. Well, being in the state championship, made it there. They didn't win, but that's just more experience for that team.
The rest of the region is kind of it's kind of a toss up. I mean, Greenbrier's lost. They lost 2 of their best players they've had in a while. Creekwood is very young. They've got quite a bit of talent. And then Montgomery Central is rebuilding. So, in those, those teams right there. And then, you really just don't know. White House, is always in the mix there. They always seem to be in the mix there. It's going to be really interesting to see what Ryan Hamilton has in store this year. But I would think the White House has got to be right there.
All right, so we don't have as many teams in 4A to talk about. So before we go to break, I'll just throw this out there. Give me one thought from each of you about how you think 4A might play out, other than Procon.
I think Haywood goes undefeated, Pearl goes undefeated, potentially setting up a massive semifinal matchup. I think Greenville gets its act together and takes over that spot from Upperman or Macon County too.
I'm just going to go with the easiest one, right? Macon and Pearl go. Macon and Upperman go 1-1 this year. They split.
I tend to think that Pearl is definitely the team to beat. Haywood, I think, is number 2, quite frankly. And then between like Cam said, you got 3A and 3B in that region. I think that that can teeter either way. I mean, it's going to be a fumble. It's going to be a missed block. It's going to be something that's going to cost somebody. But I think right now that's the way I would lead. Would it surprise me for Macon to grab that number 2 spot? No, it wouldn't, or Upperman for that matter. I just think that those 3 after Pearl, you stack them up.
Yeah, I'm going to have to. It's really hard to pick. I mean, obviously, Macon County and Upperman. It's the regular season games at Upperman this year, so I'm going to have to lean to Upperman to win that region in the regular season. But like Cam said, I wouldn't be surprised if Macon comes back. I'd probably predict. It's hard to beat any team twice in one season. I'd probably predict Upperman winning that regular season matchup, Macon coming back, winning the playoffs, probably playing Greenville. I'd say they beat Greenville. I'd say Pearl can make a state championship game.
Yep. Tyson, you can close us out.
I was gonna say something about Fairview, but I just forgot that they were 3A. So, I don't know. I know you said no pro cone, but I feel like other than Station Camp, or I feel like Station Camp's the only team that can really challenge pro cone. Other than that, from what I've read, that region is just it's lacking, at least right now. I'm sure in the past, it looked a lot different, but pro cone has just been very dominant. Station Camp has that young defense that I'm excited to start watching now.
All right.
Not a huge fan of their soccer team, but we always came out on top.
There we go. All right, let's take a quick break, and then we'll come back and talk Class 5A ball right here on the 6-1 Left 5 Preps live preview shows.
Doing something nice for someone, what a great idea, and Judge Sellars, owner of the Sellars Funeral Home family, is doing just that. The Sellars Funeral Home family, made up of 8 different locations, is proud to sponsor high school athletics throughout the Middle Tennessee area, giving back to the communities that have been so kind to us. That's the Sellars way. Thank you, Middle Tennessee.
All right, yeah, as I just said, Sellars Funeral Home is sponsoring the show locally, and special thanks to them for coming up over for the 2024 season. So definitely want to make sure to give them their props. Class 5A is up next, and Page has been talk of it. I mean, we've mentioned it. They've been there 3 straight years. They've had 2 come down to the final play, and have had silver every time. And as frustrating as that can be for a program or a community, it gives them a lot of heat coming into 2024 about just how far this thing can go.
Yeah, you want to know how that eats at somebody? Let's just talk about the 40 pounds of muscle that Eric
And Scott froze.
has.
Froze.
He decompressed a week, and he decompressed for about a week, and then it was just, those guys are back in it. You know, they're on a mission. I'd like to say they're on a mission the last 3 years, but I mean, this team feels like a team of destiny almost. I just hope that the destiny ends in gold for them. But this team is just really outstanding. They have uh, D1 players all over the field. You get 8 starters returning on that defense. That defense was tough last year, and it's going to be even tougher this year. And you got Wisconsin signee Brendan Haynes, 102 tackles last year. You got Eric Hazard, 16 sacks last year. It's just it's going to be Page regular season. Looking at their schedule, this team is primed to run the table.
Yeah, I mean, Scott, you hit just about everything right on nail on the head, right? Even your interpretation of most tackles when they see Eric Hazard this year by Friesen. So, yeah, I mean, Page is definitely the team to beat in 5A. They have to be, right? They do have a couple things they got to figure out, as Joe mentioned earlier, on the offensive side of the ball. But there's, make no mistake about it, when it comes playoff time, I would not be surprised at all to see 22 and 40 on the field on offense. And they will make the plays that are necessary to have their team in winning position. Even last year, it didn't look great there for a while, and then right there at the end of the game, they had a chance inside the 5 as time expired. So those dudes are hungry is not the word for it. Hangry is the word for it, right? So yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing what the Patriots do this year, and we have to mention the guys up front. Jacob Rathbone starting to get some big time D1 looks, and then the transfer from Centennial, Jordan Curl, right? Is really going to help out the interior of that defense line. So there's no weak points on the defense line for Page.
Speaking of players, position that usually gets left out, Tyson, you're going to love this guy. Gavin Rush, a 5-star punter. Not every high school you come around has a 5-star punting prospect committed to Arkansas. So, I mean, that's what we see every single day. Man, I don't think I'm making a crazy prediction here. I mean,
We'll be the judge of that.
Don't we think Page has a really good chance of just going undefeated this year? I mean, I think they're going to make up for that Indy loss last year. So,
oh yeah,
I'll go.
What are the odds of a perfect season winning a state championship?
I'll add to that. I don't know that they allow 10 points a game.
Yeah.
In doing so.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean it's going to be tough. I mean, everything sets up for them to do everything you guys are saying, but we need to really see how the offense looks. I think that's obviously a big key. They had a great quarterback last year in Jonathan Palmer. Ethan Cunningham at running back is going to be really hard. I mean, Coach Rathbone at Wilco Media Days even said, our best running back is sitting right next to me, pointed at Brendan Haynes. So how much are we going to see him and Hazard on offense this year? I'm not picking against Page, but I'm not immediately going to go out and say they're not going to lose any games, because you're talking about a Giles County team that took them to double or triple overtime last year. You're talking about an Indy team that for some reason has been just a pain in their backside these last couple of years.
That's just what Indy does.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see. Coach Stidham, I mean,
yeah, I'm gonna do you something that you're gonna love, Joe. Right? I'm gonna channel my Paul Heyman, right? I'm gonna give you a spoiler and not a rumor, right? The spoiler is when it comes playoff time, you're going to see 22 carrying the football behind 40, 70, and 71. That's what you're going to see.
Yeah, I can see it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't see, like, I'm looking at their schedule right now. I think Indy, just because that's just what Indy has done my whole life. I think last year when we played Indy was the first time I've ever blown out Indy or seen Brentwood blow out Indy or Indy blow Brentwood out. It's just always a close game with Indy. I feel like that's just the culture in their program. It's like they're just scrappy. They're just there to muck it up. Hillsborough had a great year last year. I can see them playing spoiler a little bit. And then, yeah, I honestly see Page, at least in the regular season, going undefeated. Because you got Eric Hazard, a guy with a Riddell axiom and half his face with eye black. Both, no matter what side of the ball he's on, he's in the backfield. It makes me think of that catch he had against Centennial last year. That was when I first heard his name. And it's like, wait, why is he catching a touchdown? I thought he was a linebacker. It's just having a guy that versatile and that good. It's Page's title. At least out of the mid-state teams, it's Page's title to lose.
And just wait till after the game and he throws on a cowboy hat. And the kid never surprises you. He's always coming up with something, or the Scooby-Doo gloves. I mean, he's got a bunch of stuff going on.
Yep.
But you said nobody in the mid-state that you see competing with them. I do think there's a team that can compete with them this year. And if the cards fall right for us, man, do we have a great one in store for the semis.
Yeah, unfortunately, our other colleague KJ is not here to defend himself or his alma mater, but Beach is in position to make things interesting for sure in 5A with what they've got coming back.
Yeah, I mean, Caden Powell at quarterback, they're just kind of loaded. Scott and I, hopefully I'm unbanned from Beach. Scott may be banned forever, but I think Beach is going to be unbelievably good this year. I really like what they have coming back with Caden. It just seems like every side of the ball they're going to be just talented this year. So if there is a team that can compete with Page, it'll be Beach.
Yeah,
that's old school football, man.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, defensively, Gunnar Clary, he's going to lead that defense. 8 starters are turned on defense. This is a team that held 6 teams to 10 points or under last year. I mean, and in 2023, and Chelton Swafford, DJ Williams in the backfield. Now they had 6'8" offensive linemen and Jack Fuchs. I mean, this team is, like you said, the semis maybe a loaded lineup as it comes, when it comes to it. So I mean, right now Beach looks as good as any team and real close to Page. But
and if that semi were to come to fruition, it would be at Shackle Island.
Oh yeah.
Buckle up.
Oh my gosh, in that atmosphere, that would be electric.
Yeah. I don't know if Cam is banned from Beach right now. I'm not. So I mean, okay. So he says,
I think we may call dibs on that one.
Possibly.
Oh no, I may have to.
That's a long drive from Rutterville.
Don't you jinx Matt like that. Matt will not let you come from Pennsylvania for that game, Scott.
If that does happen, it'll be interesting to see if Page High Till I Die makes the trip out there. Because I remember back when they were 6A semifinalists, we traveled there, and I think we had maybe 10 people in our student section, and you could just feel the difference because that was a hostile environment.
Well, I mean, that being Black Friday, the day after Thanksgiving, I mean, that's going to be a pretty big time environment if those two hook up. That's
and it will probably more than likely be the only semi with 2 mid-state teams, so it would be probably a My TV 30 game.
Probably. So we've mentioned Beach, we've mentioned Page, and now there are other teams that are still trying to throw their hat in the ring. What about Nolensville? Nolensville and Page have tangled in the last couple of years and have had some close battles. I mean, what do the Knights have to do to get back to being in that contention?
I mean, if there's anybody that can do it, I mean, when you look at that region, not just Nolensville, Jamal Stewart and Paul Derrick, right? Two outstanding coaches. So that's two things that's one thing that's going really good for those two schools. Now the gap, I believe, is bigger than it's ever been in the past few years between one and Nolensville and Centennial. But yeah, you got to have great coaching. You got to have great scheme. You got to have a great game plan, and it ultimately is going to come down to Coach Derrick and Coach Stewart if they can put one together. And the team has to execute. To beat a team like Page, you got to play pretty close to perfect football, which is hard to do just with how talented they are. Right? They're fast, they're big, they're strong. But that's the keys to knocking off Page is you got to play near perfect football and you got to stick to the game plan.
Centennial's got to stay away from Nolensville has to stay away from the injury bug. They're young. They only have 9 starters returning, 4 on offense, 4 on defense. So they absolutely are going to have to grow up very quick. But they have some talented players there. Centennial, gosh, how do you replace a Dominic Reed, a DJ Curl, Tanner Lee? They are returning 6 offensive starters, 4 on defense. Again, you're going to have to grow up fast. Kenny Johnson's going to have to carry the ball. I think if there's a team that could threaten Page in Region 6, it's going to be Hillsboro. I think that they didn't lose as much as the other teams did. Their biggest thing is just going to have to be continue to increasingly play better disciplined ball. And play, as Cam said, a near perfect game. But they have enough talent to do that.
And jumping back over to Region 7 with Beach, I'm not saying they're going to challenge Beach or anything like that, but Hendersonville, they lost a lot. They lost Mason Baker at QB. You can't really replace that. That's a incredible player. They're pretty young up front. But they got 2 twins that are very interesting. Cooper and
Riley and
Jordan.
Cooper.
Yeah. Transferring from Franklin last year. So this will be their first whole summer training period with Hendersonville. It's going to be fun to watch. Whether they win or lose, I mean, it's going to be fun to watch no matter what.
Yeah, Hendersonville, you got to keep an eye on them. They do have to replace Mason Baker, though, which is going to be very hard to do.
Yeah, they definitely showed flashes last year, but, I feel like they still need another year. Because last year, started out, 2-3-0, got whooped by Brentwood, which, I'm going to be honest, not to be about that, whole prep week, we were, they're, 3-0, this is going to be a hard game. And, that was we were, absolutely shocked by that game. And it's just, I feel like there's just a bunch of question marks with Hendersonville. I think Henry County could make some waves. I feel like they're I could see them knocking off Beach. They're the big country boys. I could see them doing something in that region.
Yeah, to be completely fair to the Hendersonville team last year, Brent was pretty good. So I mean, Tyson, you're not wanting to toot your own horn, so I'll toot it for you. So,
I think I was at that game.
We were. The teams was good.
Yeah, was it you and I, Joe?
Yeah, we were
I
there.
thought so. I think if you're going to look for a most improved team, a team that may compete with Beach, it could be Springfield. They were young last year, and they were young all over the field. They still have a little uncertainty at quarterback, and losing Clarence Cobbins and Max Baldwin didn't help. But they got a good running back in Keenan Chapman Jr. He's returning from injury that put him out for almost all of last year. Got a great linebacker in Hayden Reynolds. He's returning. Josh Lee's returning. So they've got pieces in place that are growing and learning. And, Dustin Wilson is always going to be tough to beat. And I think that, after a down year of what had to hurt, because that's not Springfield ball. That's not the Springfield ball that he knows or anybody else seen. I think his team is ready. I think they're ready to lace them back up and hit some people and make them pay for whatever pain they had last year. I think Springfield very well could be a sleeper team in this region.
And
Yes.
it's not been easy for them since they went up to 5A because they landed in this region with teams that they haven't necessarily matched up well against, and it has shown up on the scoreboard. But I think that maybe now we're starting to see that gap between Springfield and the teams ahead of them maybe close a little bit.
And Springfield, I got to watch them at the Green Hill scrimmage last week. It was same old Springfield. I was listening to a Green Hill kid on the sideline, came up and he said, I think they just play with 3 tight ends the entire time. I mean, that's how Springfield plays football. So it's hard nosed. It's fun to watch when it works. They were able to break off some big plays on Green Hill. So, yeah, I think they're going to be better. I think they're going to be better with a similar record as they did last year. I think they'll pick up a couple more non-region wins, but I just think their region's just so stacked. It's going to be hard for them to make any progress.
All right, so to wrap this one up, kind of like the same as last time, let's take Paige out of the equation and give me someone else who makes that big step or could make that big step.
Scott picked Beach for his dark horse.
He did.
I'm sorry.
You picked Beach for your dark horse.
Yeah, well, that's the team that I would have circled. I think if there's a team that can beat Beach in 5A, especially in the mid-state, it's Beach.
Yeah, I mean it's got to be, but my point that I'll hit on is Beach has to get over the Henry County hump, and then Beach has to also beat a really good Southwind team just to get to Page.
Yeah, I agree with that. There's a lot of teams out west that are definitely going to be a challenge for Beach and Page for that matter. And there's one, but it's eluding me. There's one out west that's just really just eluding me, but Southwind, it may be that one, and I'm just having a brain cramp. I think that is it, because the team I'm just now came to is actually 6A. Yeah, I think Southwind's tough. I think that, but you asked me to pick a team that I think is poised to make it to the if it's not Page in the speech to me.
I would go with Southwind. I mean, I just think returning Kelvin Perkins he's a different animal. And I know they've got some more kids that have decided to come in there and play, which, fair. They had their best season ever last year. But it's going to be, I still think Page is the team to beat, but kind of like what Pearl Cone has in 4A, right? They got to go west against a team that will probably be likely undefeated when they face off in the semis. So it's going to be fun. I think that Beach region, I think there's going to be a lot of good teams in there. I think Portland will be greatly improved. I think Hendersonville, we'll see. They're just really well coached. Hunter's Lane could be better too. I mean, we just don't know. I know they've really implemented a lot of new things. So it'll be fun. 5A, I think, is going to be really fun, but I think it's still Page's gambit to run, right? Like, they're just, after last year, I ain't picking against them.
Yeah, I concur. And we have to mention, because it seems like 5A is a never-ending circle, which Knoxville team will be in Chattanooga.
Yeah.
They keep swapping which one it is, so.
Yeah, but there's several good ones that could contend, but that's a big question to answer too as well. Let's take another quick break. Actually, Tyson can wrap us up first.
Yeah, wrapping it up again. Honestly, like, I just have a hunch about it. I feel like Nolensville could be like a 2023 Ravenwood. Like before the season, a lot of question marks, a lot of young guys. Like they're losing like Ty Collins at quarterback, Zion Tamaska in the backfield, who like I don't know like how well exactly he did in the season, but I remember he was a very solid runner and against us in the scrimmages. And then they're losing people on like their front seven, like Tyler Rose, Joseph Carano. Like I think that they can fill those gaps, and like they're obviously not beating Page. No one's beating Page this year, but I think like they can make it to the quarterfinals and basically have almost an identical season to Ravenwood last year.
All right, good stuff, gentlemen. We have Division II AA to talk about after the break, and we're going to take that right now. Welcome back to our medium class preview. We will wrap things up with this particular round with Division II AA. And CPA back on top after a couple years of falling short of the Lipscomb Academy. Lions get back at the top of the mountain.
Yeah, they got back to the top of the mountain, and I think they are going to be very good this year. Saw them against Ravenwood last Thursday, and Ravenwood was my pick to win 6A, which, we'll talk about that later in the week. Ravenwood's going to be really good this year, and CPA went step for step with them. We know the names Rawls Patterson, Owen Cable. I really liked Hudson Chance. He looked great at quarterback last year. He blew out his knee in the Pearl Cone game, which you never want to see. But, he's back. He looked really good throwing the ball. And I think that could be a difference maker. I mean, he's got a security blanket out wide and Owen, who made a heck of a play. That week 2 matchup against Pearl, like we mentioned a little bit earlier, that's going to be fun. It's going to be a lot of fun. So they're kings of D2 AA until someone knocks them off, and I don't know if they knock them off this year.
Well, guys, I mean, let's talk about it. I mean, who has the potential to scare them at least, if maybe not knock them off?
Yeah, I'm not sure anybody in the mid-state has a great, a good chance of knocking off CPA. It's just, the team, like last year, the matchup from the previous show until it happened, right, was FRA versus CPA, right? That was the matchup everybody was wanting. And they were good games, but, FRA lost a lot, mainly Ty Clark, right? Now CPA did lose, Cruz Law and, John Wayne Oliver and a couple other big time pieces, but you have a legitimate SEC receiver in Owen Cable, and you have a really good running back in Rawls Patterson. They are a little bit undersized, but they looked great in that scrimmage against Ravenwood. They were really surprising to most of us on how they did in that scrimmage. And now it is a scrimmage, but when you look at the other Division II AA teams in our area, maybe, you got to mention Davidson, right, with Stroud. But other than that, in Middle Tennessee, it's very thin in D2 AA.
You want to crown them? You want to crown them? And crown them. Look, if there's a team out there, I think that can that's going to push them in the mid-state, it's definitely Davidson Academy. They got a quarterback in a young quarterback, but he's got a fluid motion. He's got great locations. Kashawn Barksdale. He looked great, and yes, it was a scrimmage the other night, but he looked ready for the season to start today. Caden Stroud the same way. He was running all over the place. He looked good. They've got a 6'6", 285 offensive lineman in Melgoza, and Isaiah Mullins returns on the defensive line. I think that Davidson Academy, for being the smallest school in Division IIA, is actually really good and has a chance this year to surprise some people. I don't know where FRA stands really this year. I've not, they lost so much leadership wise last year that I'm not really sure if they're in a position to knock them off. But a team to keep an eye on is going to be Battleground Academy. I think BGA, it's just really going to be interesting to see how quickly they progress. With Ote at defensive back, coming from Riverdale, and the forced transfer athlete Fletcher Fields, going to probably be carrying the rock. It's really going to be fun to watch this team. I think this year is. I think offensively they're going to be much better.
Yeah, BGA, my state dark horse. There's a reason they're dark horse. I don't think they're going to win state this year, but they are looking really nice for at least a couple years to come. Their wide receiver, Arnett Hayes, I think is probably one of the most underrated wide receivers in our college area. I think he's going to make some noise. Maybe not. He's probably not going to win like Mr. Football or anything like that, but I think he's going to make a lot of noise. I mean, 15.9 yards per catch last year, 13 touchdowns. I mean, it's just impressive. And then he's got the quarterback, Caden Marable. I think that's how you say that. 6'2", 62% completions last year, 21 touchdown passes. I just think that little right there is going to be really dangerous. And then also, like I said, for the future, they got two freshmen, both linemen. One, I think it's Cone Dial. He's 6'8", 294. A freshman. Got a UCF offer as well. And then Aiden Woodruff, 6'5", 240. You probably won't see that much playing time. I mean, they're freshmen, but just for the future, that's going to be something dangerous to watch.
6'8" freshman.
Yeah.
I can't
Kids
comprehend.
Kids are too big nowadays, man.
What's in the water? I mean,
Good God.
figure some of that out. We just should have
Putting
time traveled
creatine
back to
in the water.
2001.
Yeah, I think if we're talking about teams that should be greatly improved, though, in Division II AA, you have to start with Pope, right? Pope Rep. Really tough year last year for the Knights. They battled some injuries. They battled losing a lot with Josh Maylander and Kenny Minchie the year before. They should be greatly improved. They're still really young. But they should be greatly improved with Hudson Holman at quarterback and Bo Bailey. Just last week, had two big, long touchdowns against Nashville Christian in a scrimmage. So the Knights should be better than they were in 2023 by a considerable margin.
We don't have a lot of teams other than that middle region in Division II AA. So really, if we're talking about the rest of the state, we're talking about like Wood Buchanan, runner-up from last year. Do you think it's Boyd Buchanan getting back to Chattanooga to challenge CPA again, or somebody else, Joe, that might be worth looking at?
Knox Webb.
Potentially. I think it's still Boyd Buchanan. They were young last year. I'll never bet against a Gary Rankin coach team when it comes to getting to state at least. I'll bet against them if they go against CPA. I think if they were to play CPA, it'd be a better game. If we're being real, CPA and Boyd was not a bad game last year. CPA kind of went away at the end, but Boyd stayed step for step with them for as much as they could. They'll be better this year, and I don't know. Knox Webb, I don't disagree with, Cam. I think they're going to be pretty good this year, and it's them against CPA. I mean, at this point, it's one of those teams against CPA.
Yep, and you mentioned him. Just want to hope everything is going well with Coach Rankin and his recovery from his medical procedure. And again, I said it whenever it was announced that he was going to Boyd Buchanan. It's not a matter of if, it's just when. The Bucks will win a state championship with Gary Rankin.
Well, I think when we were talking about our preseason way too early picks, Boyd was my pick to take it this year. That was before I got a really good look at CPA. but I'm going to stay with. I have much choice. I have to stay with the horse I rode in on. But yeah, Knox Webb is good. It's going to be really tough for anybody, I think, out of the middle region, others than CPA, to climb that hill. Not impossible, but difficult. And yeah, and even a team like Jackson Christian, might surprise.
They're D2A.
Oh, wait a minute, D2A. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah. They would really surprise if they actually.
For what it's worth, they're my D2A. They are my D2A championship pick. So
This is why I should have kept my notes open instead of shut them.
The West 2A teams, Joe, North Point Christian. Is that right?
Yeah, I mean,
and is USJ D2AA?
Yeah, they're just not.
And then Los Ann.
Yeah,
Los
they're
Ann.
just not quite at that level anymore. It's
kind
of CPA and then everybody else, but I think Boyd and Knox Webb are knocking, and then I do think, I mean, Davidson Academy is right there too. Kane Stroud's a dog, so. And
they would potentially, if they finish 1-2, they would potentially line up on opposite sides of the bracket. So, and Davidson, that Davidson Boyd game last year in the playoffs was a really good one.
Yeah. Just to give like my quick rundown, I don't like JP2 hasn't been the same since they lost Minchie. Even like whenever he was injured, like they just were not the same. I think they still have some time before they come back. FRA lost Ty Clark, lost Luke Masterson, UNCO lineman commit, my good friend growing up.
Was he always that big?
Oh yeah, no, he played lacrosse with us until like he started getting offers for football.
That's a terrifying
thought. Oh yeah, no, he was so good. Every year I tried to convince him to come back to lacrosse. I remember seeing him at one of my friend's grad parties. And it's like, dude, I wish you were back. I wish you never left. But he's a good kid, great kid. Love that guy. Wish him the best. But there's only one team. Give me the Lions, baby.
There it is. There it is.
We found our Lee Corso.
Yep.
Yeah.
Had to.
Yep.
I mean, after what I saw, guys, I mean, they look good. I mean, I know you don't want, it's like watching preseason football in the NFL, right? Like you don't want to take too much away. And I'm sure there were things that Coach Martin didn't like, which is obvious. I mean, I stood next to him for a little bit and you could tell there were things he didn't like. He's just built a machine there. I mean, it's impressive to watch. I think Rawls Patterson wins Mr. Football. That's my way too early Mr. Football prediction. Rawls Patterson wins it.
Maybe Owen Cavill.
Maybe it depends. I could see them really. They looked good throwing the ball, but I really think with Hudson, he's a runner at heart. When it comes to live game ball, he's gonna run the ball, and you open that up with him and Rawls. I mean, they're gonna punch some people in the mouth.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't carry as much weight as it would have, but I concur, Joe. I concur. Rawls Patterson will win Mr. Football.
Wait, you two are agreeing on stuff? What's going on here?
Yeah, this is
just end the show. It's
yeah, we're done. We're done.
Yeah,
over. I mean,
dogs and cats living together, mass hysteria.
I will admit, Owen Cavill's a bit of a biased pick.
Yeah,
that kid was a beast at Brentwood Middle.
I will say you may end up with the three finalists as Rawls Patterson, Owen Cable, and Shavar Young.
Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if we can go on much more with all this agreeing y'all are doing. This is not right.
It's like everybody's taking crazy pills.
I guess. But last thing before we shut this one down, we've talked about these three classes as far as the firepower that their top teams essentially have: Procone, Page, CPA. How do all three come back with gold balls in your opinion? I'm gonna hold you to yes or no answer.
Yes.
No.
Yes.
And we disagree.
No.
You said all three come home with gold balls. No.
Yes. Okay, which one doesn't?
Make a fan base angry, Cam. Do it. Do it right now.
4A.
Oh, okay.
D2 AA.
Well, you did
That's
pick.
fake news, guys. I get that.
It's not like you ever go to Pearl, Cam, but at least you won't. You definitely know you won't be allowed there anyway now. So
Just imagine if it's Pearl and Macon in the state championship, then how is Chris going to act?
Like a professional, like I should, because
on the
I'm just-
inside, on the inside, he'll be dying a little bit though.
Oh no, I'll pick Pearl, and it won't be close. I'm just going to tell you right now.
I think
That matchup has happened a few times.
Yes, it has. Although Macon's beaten Pearl one time, and it was 3-0 in 2007 when Pearl turned it over about 8 times in a month.
That sounds like when Watertown beats Trousdale.
Wow, here we go.
he said Watertown beats Trousdale. I think he misspoke.
No, that's accurate.
No, he didn't miss me.
We fumbled the ball 7 times one time against Watertown and lost 7-0.
That's
Anyway,
embarrassing. You guys should stop playing football. I think all three bring home gold balls. I think CPA rolls to the gold ball. I'll put score predictions out there right now. CPA 35, Boyd 20. I think Pearl beats Greenville in a classic offensive shootout, 34-31. And I think Page decimates teams en route to their first gold ball. I think whoever they face for in the championship, what happened to Page 2 years ago happens to that team. They rout them, absolutely demolish them. You know what? Hell, why not? Knox West, round 3 goes to Page in dominant fashion.
All right.
I just want everyone to have fun.
Forgot about Knox West.
it will be one of those teams from Knox. It'll be Knox West or Powell or Central or they
Knox
rotate
West.
every year.
Knox West ended Maryville's dynasty.
Yeah.
Take Isaac's.
George
take
Corals
Isaac's
ended
face.
Marysville's dynasty by going to Furman.
Let's take Isaac's face and put it on that Rob Lowe picture where he's wearing the NFL hat.
I just want everybody to have.
Both teams have fun. Well, this has been fun, guys. It's a good show. Tyson, appreciate you stepping up and making your debut. Good job.
Hey, maybe next time I come out, I'll be in my dorm room, a little better of a setting.
Hey, never know.
College life.
All right. So
Go
one
Pete.
more. It'd be good. One more set of previews to come on August 19th. The large class where we do 6A and Division 2 AAA, and I know Tyson will be ready for that one. So
Yeah.
it's going to be good stuff. Thank you all for watching. Thank you to Sellars Funeral Homes for sponsoring these shows this year, and we will see you all very, very soon with another preseason preview. 2024 is right around the corner. So take care, everybody.
Thank you for liking and clicking that bell.
Go Bruins.